you guys are all well.
Alhamdulillah, we all well, we all well. You've obviously decided on a topic for us today, which I think is really relevant to today. And many people probably experience this one way or another, and I'm sure you can elaborate on the topic.
Mm.
Exactly. So the topic that we've picked today with Sheikh Ali Reza is living with diversity, difference, and discrimination, which is, I'm sure we can all agree, is a very important topic in our day and age at the moment. But just before we get kicked off, just to let everyone know that we are live on the phones as well. So you have the WhatsApp number. You can send us messages. You can even call in to ask any questions. And everyone that took part last week and throughout the last 3 weeks, you all won a chocolate bar. And we also had the special Ferrero Rochers, which will all be delivered to you guys tomorrow. We did promise before Eid, so they will all be delivered to you by tomorrow. And inshallah, please get involved. Everyone else that's listening tonight, you can still win yourself a chocolate bar and also a £15 Amazon voucher. So
Ooh.
get involved.
Right, inshallah, everybody get involved. This last show, surely somebody wants to get a £15 voucher. Come on, man, it's free money.
Exactly. So going back to Sheikh, sorry to cut in there,
That's okay.
but yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and it's something that's relevant to our lives today. So I mean, would you like to expand a little bit on the topic that you've chose for today?
Sure. So, inshallah, really looking forward to your guys' thoughts as well. It'd be brilliant if we hear from people within the community and whoever's listening. But I thought let's just say a few things to hopefully kick off a conversation, because that's what I think the radio is all about. So, the issues that we want to flag up. So we've got diversity, difference, and discrimination. Discrimination, as the Mazahir has said and Hassan has said, this is something which possibly we feel or that we see almost all around us. But what is it? Very, very simply, what is discrimination? It's about unfair or unequal treatment of others. So when we're thinking about discrimination, this is about how we're relating to others. Okay, discrimination is got something to do with ethics and morality. Now, this could be at an interpersonal level. It could be at the level of our own families. It could be at the level of gender. It could be within our communities. And we could be thinking here about our Shia community, discrimination within. It could be thinking about discrimination within the Muslim community. It could be thinking about society at large. And now it could be discrimination, as I said, between people, or discrimination often is thought about in terms of law, before law, right? So these are just a sense of, just to open it up for later discussion, discrimination. It's about a moral or a legal concern, right? This is very different from diversity and difference.
Yeah.
Right? Think about diversity and difference. Actually, this isn't about our relationship with others or our relationship with the law. Diversity and differences, this is more about a statement of fact. Diversity and differences are part and parcel of the natural world. Okay?
Yeah.
Diversity and differences are part of reality. It's part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan, actually. And a theological understanding about diversity and difference can help us better deal with those differences and hopefully better deal, with our experiences of discrimination. Because look, we have to remember that when we talk about being one, if you like unity, then absolute unity belongs to who?
Allah. Allah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if we think about unity and oneness, there is only absolute oneness when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Beyond Allah, the principle is difference. And the principle is diversity. Okay? And every form of difference and every form of diversity ultimately is attributable to God. All right? Our challenge is, how do we deal with differences? How do we deal with diversity such that it doesn't lead to discrimination? Now, I just want to give us one verse of the Quran, a very rich verse of the Quran, famous verse of the Quran, and then we open it up. All right? We can go in whichever direction the callers or you guys want to try and take me. Okay?
Okay.
So the verse of the Quran is a very, very rich verse of the Quran. It's a famous verse of the Quran from Surah Al-Hujurat. Okay, and is often mentioned in this context. Right? So we'll take it a little slowly, just spend a couple of minutes on this verse, right?
Sure.
So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the verse says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O humankind. Right, there's a point here. Because Surah Al-Hujurat has got loads of verses where it says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. Oh, those who believe, oh, those who believe, oh, those who believe.
Yes.
So this verse stands out, okay? Yeah, as talking universally. Okay, oh, humankind. Right? Inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. Surely we created you from male and female. Look, that's the first level of diversity. Okay, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'il. And we made you into peoples and communities. Okay, innama akramakum indallahi atqakum. Sorry, we made you as peoples and communities. Lita'arafu. Now, this is really important. Okay, so that you may come to know. Okay, or that you may come to learn through each other. All right, so what have we got? God is saying, "Oh, humankind, I created you of male and female.
Female.
I created you as peoples and tribes, so that you're getting purpose here.
Yeah.
There's purpose behind the diversity. There's purpose behind the difference, right? So that you may learn through each other. You may come to a ma'rifah, better understanding, ultimately, so that you move close to God. All right. The verses continue. It says, "Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum," and this is famous again, right? That surely the most honored of you, with God, okay, is the most conscious of Allah.
Yeah.
It's not taqwa isn't a way we should be judging each other.
No.
Okay.
Right? So even here, there's an important point here. Okay, often we say that the most honored of people is the most muttaqi, the guy with the longest beard. Right? Okay, or the one with the most
The best salwar kameez, best jubba.
Best jubba, you've got the point, right? No, actually the Quran says, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum.
Yes.
The most honored of you in God's eyes is taqwa. Taqwa isn't something which can be judged by the way I dress.
Yeah.
Okay, taqwa is with God. So we should be treating each other irrespective of the beard and the dress.
Yeah.
Right? Difference, diversity is a part of human life. Difference and diversity in every form is attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most honored with God is the most God conscious. Yeah, our challenge is to get past discrimination of every form, whether it's gender, whether it's social, whether it's societal, whether it's racial. Okay, and this beautiful verse gives us a vision as to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created diversity. Ultimately, so that through each other, we can come to a better understanding, a better ma'rifah of Him. All right, hopefully that's enough of us for us to move on.
Excellent.
You made a
Going back to
really good point.
discrimination between people, first of all.
Yeah.
Like we look at it in our society at the moment. I think there's like a hierarchy, not in ours personally, but generally, like Shia Sunni people, for example. So we're like, okay, we're more superior, or you're more superior. And even though we're missing the whole point of being just Muslim, first of all, that we believe in Allah altogether.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how, even in our own communities as well as Shia communities, we have like divides. So how do we combat that so that we all become united as one?
Yeah.
In terms of discrimination? Because I think, do we discriminate between ourselves sometimes?
Yes. Yeah, we absolutely do, Mazahir. We absolutely have discrimination internally. Right? So I just touched on it because I was hoping you guys would bring it up. So yeah, there is discrimination amongst Shias. And there's, of course, discrimination amongst Muslims.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, we have to recognize that when we talk about, so here often we get, why not unity? Yeah. So yes, unity, but in what sense unity? Unity isn't about eradicating differences.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to start with us recognizing that differences and diversity is part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. Okay? Now that's at every level. That's part of human nature. You get differences in a house. You get difference in thinking. There's a famous tradition attributed to the Prophet where he said to Ammar and Abu Dhar, and sometimes it's Salman and Abu Dhar, so some of the closest to the Prophet's companions, he said, if you knew what was in the mind of the other, you would think he was a kafir. And if you were to bear, if you had to deal with what he has to deal with, okay, you couldn't take his sabr, and you would disbelieve. Right now, these are some of the most outstanding companions of the Prophet at his core. Yeah. Okay, but there was differences amongst them. So differences in the issue. Okay, where we should have unities in our objectives. Okay,
Right.
objectives is approach to God. Our objectives is bettering ourselves first and foremost. Yeah. So I think that's a really, really important starting point. Yeah, is to accept difference. Okay, accept difference is reality. Diversity is good. Okay, unity comes through action. Okay, unity comes at the point of what we're aiming for, and this requires humility. Right. So again, that verse that we started with, when it says "Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum," to me this should be a reminder of humility. Yeah, because I don't know how much taqwa the next man has. Right. So he might be honorable to me in front of God. Yeah.
But connection to God is a bit different.
Yeah, his connection to God might be different. Look, we'll come to the Shia Sunni stuff, yeah, because it's important, right? But let's just unpack this a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So there's a tradition that I remember attributed to Imam Kadhib. Yeah, he said, always treat the other person as though he's worth more than you. Always.
Yeah.
Right? Why? He said, look, if he's younger than you, yeah, maybe he's committed less sins than you. Okay, if he's older than you, maybe he's worshipped God more than you. If he's your age, then you know your own sins. You don't know the next man's sins. Right? So the foundation of our relationships with anybody and everybody should be one that the other person is worthy of more respect than me. Okay? Or at least I should be dealing with them with the utmost respect. Utmost respect. Okay? Yeah. So I think that humility and ethics is very, very important. Okay, on a personal note.
Sure.
In terms of Shia Sunni, all right. Now, of course, this has been a hot topic this week.
Yes, definitely.
This has been a hot topic this week. That we, sadly there was there was a murder. Okay, random shooting. Yeah, of a sister. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala raise her status.
Yes, give the family patience as well.
Yeah, and give the family patience and the best of rewards in Blackburn. All right, now, it turned out, of course, there was rightly so, there was an outpouring of love and respect and support for the families.
Yeah.
Then, as you guys may know better than me, there was a fund which was raised in honor of her to build a mosque or for some other Jariya in her honor. And then it came to the fore in social media that she's from a Shia family coming from Lebanon. And a very few people, a very few Sunni minority, started objecting, saying these are Shias and we don't want to contribute towards them.
Yes.
So there was a bit of a kerfuffle here, and I think it's important to recognize before we discuss the Shia Sunni stuff more, and because I'm on a lot of groups of Sunni ulama and academics as well as Shia ulama and academics, and the overriding mainstream voice, and not the overriding, the Sunni message from their ulama, was that this, withdrawal of support for that family was absolutely unacceptable.
Definitely.
Okay, right. That was the response. From the amongst the Sunni ulama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you have these types of incidents is really people use it as an excuse, to talk about differences, Yeah, because of the stuff, Mazar, you were pointing to, people want to emphasize their own superiority.
Yeah, we're better than you.
That we're better than you. And to be honest with you, frankly, I know I'm speaking to a audience, all right? So frankly, Shias were using it as a case for identity politics. We know Sunnis who withdrew this issue of supporting that family. But I'll say this now because we're speaking mainly in a Shia audience, right? That there were Shias who were using it for identity politics. right? And we always have to look at ourselves first.
Yes.
Right? This wasn't the ethic of Imam Ali, salamullahi alayhi. So if we want to see how do we deal with Shia Sunnis tensions, yeah, let's look at the Imams. They're our guides, yeah? We say we're lovers of Ahlul Bayt. Okay?
Yeah.
They're our guides. Look, Imam Ali clearly had disputes with those around him. They clearly went past him. They clearly troubled him. They clearly harassed him. Okay,
Yeah.
but what did he do? Did he separate himself from the Muslims, or did he go and still continuously go and help them? Continuously go and support them?
Exactly. See, like, oh, sorry, please continue.
No, go. He continually supported. He continually supported the Muslims.
I was just touching on it, on your point that you was talking about, that, you know, it's like maybe that the Shias are now kind of, like us as Shias are victimizing ourselves, like, you know, with this new hashtag Shia phobia and all this because of this tiny incident. And, you know, it feels like we have to now be on the defensive.
Yeah. It's a big problem, Mazahir, in my view, because you know what we do? Look, no doubt Shias are discriminated against. No doubt.
Yes.
But do Shias not discriminate against Sunnis? Be honest. Okay, be honest. Do we not hear people speaking disrespectfully about our brothers? Let's be honest, very, very honest. Okay, and that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Okay, on anybody's standards. Look, recently Sayyid Sistani had said when it all kicked off in Iraq, we just talk about, you know, in this case, somebody died, an innocent life died in the UK, right? Yeah, but we end up just talking past each other. In Iraq, there's been blood spill of thousands and thousands and thousands of people recently. In Afghanistan, there's blood being spilled over these things, right? So these are serious issues. Sayyid Sistani last year, it's longer now, a couple of years ago, gave this famous statement. It says, don't say my Sunni brothers. So don't say my Sunni brothers. It says, kullahum anfusana. He said, say to them ourselves.
Yeah.
Talk about my Shias and my Sunni brothers. No, we're supposed to be one. Look, with Shia with us highlighting Shia phobia, what do? We separate our identity. Yeah, the companions of Imam Ali, there was a group who called themselves Shias of Ali, salamullahi alayhi. But they positioned themselves within the center of the Muslims, not as something separate and outside. Now that's a big challenge, especially if you're being discriminated against.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely right what you're saying, Sheikh, you know, and even comes to more to the point as well, you know, when you're saying Shia Sunni unity as well. I mean, look at the Shia unity, you know, when we break that down as well, and you look at it, you know, we have instances where, okay, this person follows this marja, the other person follows that marja, or I'm not going to speak to that guy, you know, they do Eid differently to us. Like, we're going to have the same issue as we always have every single year. One person does one Eid earlier, one person does one Eid earlier, and we'll make it look like, oh, look, they're doing it wrong, we're doing it right. And it's the same thing again, you know, when it comes back to what you were talking about in the Quran, saying we're making it look like we're better than anyone else, whereas, you know, it's not the case.
Yeah, look, differences, like we said, differences at every level are attributed to Allah in the Quran. So on differences of practice, look, everybody wants to celebrate Eid together, for sure. Okay? Yeah, but actually, what is it all about? What is it actually supposed to be about? Let me get you guys involved.
Yeah.
What's it actually about?
So thinking that, go on, after you, Hassan, because
I was going to say, it's about celebrating the end of Ramadan, isn't it? You know.
So, yeah, it's about celebrating the end of Ramadan as an opportunity of reconnecting with God.
Yeah.
Okay, and a return to God. All right, and a return to a godly ethic. Yeah, of actually being a better people.
Yeah.
That's the objective. That's what we need to be unified in. Okay, ultimately. So look, let me give you another verse of the Quran from Surah Baqarah, which talks about religious practices. Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the verse of the Quran says, is verse 148 from Surah Baqarah. Okay, وَكُلِّ وِجْهَةً هُوَ مَوَلِّيهَا. It says, look, everybody has their own direction in which they face. All right, now what it's talking about the Kaaba.
Yeah.
The four walls of the Kaaba.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, have you got relatives abroad, Hassan?
Yes.
Which country is they from?
India.
India, Mazahir. You got relatives in Africa?
Yes.
Are we facing the same direction as them in Africa and them in India?
No, not all.
We're actually facing opposite directions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't face the same way.
Yeah.
All facing one Kaaba.
But we're facing different directions.
Right, but we're standing in different directions. Can you see that?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good point.
Differences at every level are embedded within human practice. Okay, our colors, our skins, even our religious practice. Look, and in this verse of the Quran, Allah's attributing religious differences to Himself, actually. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, elsewhere we say that Allah gave everybody a different way and a different shari'ah, even a different religious form. Sometimes talking about the Christians and the Jews and so on and so forth. Yeah?
Yeah.
The verse that I quoted to you, it says, look, everybody faces a different wall of the Kaaba. All right? فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. What's your job is to rush towards doing good actions.
Yeah.
Slow down on this petty, the ritual stuff is supposed to take us somewhere. Okay, it's supposed to take us to being better people. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get over that discrimination, that ethical issue. Remember, I tried to separate at the beginning. There's differences in diversity. This is a fact.
Yeah.
There's discrimination, which is an ethical issue. Yeah,
That's
we
right.
actually embrace the difference and diversity. Yeah, and improve our ethics of engaging with each other.
Excellent. So going back to the point, so are we generally, like, because of the society that we're brought up in and, you know, the friends and the people that we have around us, does that naturally just make us sort of like, you know, we'll discriminate against a different person?
Yeah. Look,
If so,
it's a constant challenge, Mazahir. Yeah. So you've got it. And again, if we go back to the first verse that I mentioned, okay, that God has created you male and female, and He created you as peoples and tribes.
Yeah.
yes.
So look, being a group of peoples, again, is something condoned by God. Right? Having a particular community is condoned by God. God is attributing it to Himself.
Yeah.
It's natural. All right? It's natural for me to have affinity with people like me, okay, or people I went to school with, or people who have, you know, got the same upbringing as me. Then we went to the same madrasa. We've got similar ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, and actually in there we strengthen each other. Yeah. Okay, but the problem becomes where we have communities which are versus other communities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the purpose of communities is supposed to be to strengthen a whole.
Yeah, a whole society together.
Also, community. The function of a good society is for society at large. You hit it on the head, Mazahir. Right. The purpose of these smaller units is so that we strengthen each other and we can better interact and better serve everybody else. Yeah. And even the concept of the ummah. So if we think about Muslims, we usually have this notion of ummah, which brings everybody in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, I think often there are many Sunnis, not the majority, or there's a few Sunnis that like to push the Shias out.
Yeah.
Right? But the Shias like to keep themselves out as well, let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest. But the Prophet's vision of the Ummah was one. Okay?
All one, yes.
All one. You can have differences within. Look, the Prophet he called the people of Medina the Ansar. And he called the people of Makkah the Muhajirin. They still had differences. Yeah? But they worked together despite those differences.
Yeah.
So differences isn't the issue. Okay? Again, the Imam Ali's Shia positioned themselves in the middle of the Ummah. Okay?
Cool.
And the Quran positions the Ummah in the middle of human society. Right? So the Quran says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. It says, we've made you a model Ummah. Okay?
Yes.
تَكُونُوا عَلَى النَّاسِ شُهَدَاء. So that you can be a witness for humankind. Right? So you see, look, at every level, our little communities are beautiful things. We should strengthen them. You know, we should strengthen our little communities. We should strengthen Shia identity, something beautiful, right? But not versus the Ahl Sunnah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Muslim identity is beautiful. Okay, not versus non-Muslim society. No,
Yes.
the beauty of Muslim society should come to the fore when it's contributing to Muslim society, non-Muslim society.
Yeah.
Shia, the Shia identity would be seen as the most beautiful once it's contributing to Muslim identity. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Even
again,
something
our vision.
Something that you just said as well, it just reminded me of when the Prophet moved to Medina from Makkah, and the Ansar and the Muhajirun, the Prophet said, you know, he's going to give each other one of them. So one from the Ansar and one from the Muhajir, and said, "They're your brother." So it's like a similar thing, what we're talking about here. It's about going to the other person and accepting that yes, you're different, but they're also your brother in faith as well. At the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. He didn't stop calling them Ansar, and he didn't stop calling them Muhajirun.
Yeah.
He would share everything.
Correct.
Yeah, to the point they inherited from each other.
Yeah.
To that extent. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so I can see we got people listening live. No one's getting involved. I know that we have a listener from live in Uganda at the moment. We've got Brother Tawsif listening. We have Muhammad Karmali listening. They're too shy to call in. They're sending messages on our personal phones. So why don't you get involved with the show? Give us a shout, and everyone else as well. You got a chance to win some more chocolates, and not to forget the £15 voucher. So yeah, let's get involved. If you got any questions for Sheikh Ali Reza, you need to take advantage of the knowledge we have on hand.
Part, yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, look, if you're not taking part, it's your loss. We're doing everything possible to get you guys together and communicate with us. We're offering you a £15 voucher. Come on, what do you want to get?
I would love to hear from others, but I'm having fun talking to you guys.
Yeah, I'm having a brilliant time actually. And we do have another host, which has been very quiet throughout the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my turn.
It's your turn now. Please fire away. Denise coming in all the way from the United Arab Emirates.
Welcome.
Thank you. As you said about the differences, we have differences within our own community.
Yes.
We leave the other Muslims outside. Within the Shia community, we do have a lot of differences, as in when it comes to the mosque.
Yes.
Okay, this is the mosque owned by the Pakistani Shias, this is the owned by the African ones. And even within spouse selection, I mean, a non-Khoja doesn't want to be involved with a Khoja, or a Pakistani does not want to be involved with an Indian. How would you address that within a community which is the same thing? We have the same exact beliefs and the backgrounds are slightly different. Does it play a major role? Because I've come across young ladies, young women who've gone through this a lot.
Yes.
Just because their background is different.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's an excellent question, Kaniz, an important question. So again, I'll go back to the verse of the Quran that I started with from Surah Al-Hujurat. Yeah, that where Allah says, "I created you from man and female, and I made you into communities and peoples, so that you may come to know, or you may come to better ma'rifah." And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most honored with God is the most God conscious. Right now, this verse, there are a number of different reports as to when it was revealed. Okay, one of those reports suggests it was revealed with regards to an issue of spouse selection. Okay, yeah, so one of those reports actually suggests it was revealed with regards to spouse selection. Actually, on the basis of spouse selection, shouldn't be excluded because you come from different communities. Right? So I think that's a direct response to your question. Okay, the community we come from.
Yeah.
Okay, even if it's like he's an African Khoja and he's a Pakistani Khoja, for example. Okay, yeah, or he's a Sayyid and she's not a Sayyid. Okay, this shouldn't be a reason to exclude. Okay, consideration for spouse selection. Right? Is that clear as a starting point?
Absolutely.
Yeah? All right. But I want to go a little further though, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
The next point to make is that we also have to recognize, because you said specifically about spouse selection, the mosque one's a slightly different issue, right? That on spouse selection, we have to recognize that actually marital life is supposed to be difficult. Right? Okay, so I don't know what sort of age group are mostly listening here. I know there's some of our hosts are newly married, some of them are not quite married, I think. All right. Yeah, some may be married, right? But marital life is supposed to be difficult. Actually, it's through that difficulty that we grow. Yeah, actually, and this goes to our broader point of difference and diversity. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I made you male, and I made you female, and I made you different groups and I made you different people so that you come to better understanding. It's so that I can go beyond my own limits. And it hurts to go beyond my own limits.
Yes.
Okay, through marriage, I have to go through beyond my own limits because I live so closely with another person.
Yeah.
Right? So there's going to be differences between two spouses, even if they're both from the same village, okay, from India. Okay, their parents have come from the same place and they've come from the same roots. There'll always be differences. Actually, it's those differences which give the marriage the opportunity to be something beautiful. All right? Now, if we can, sometimes marriage can become easier if they're from similar backgrounds. Okay, there's no doubt about that, you know? If they're from similar backgrounds, they have similar interests, they have similar family directions, these can make marriage easier. But it doesn't mean there won't be other difficulties in the marriage. Now, coming from very different racial backgrounds or very different cultural backgrounds may bring its own challenges. All right, but that's what marriage is supposed to be about. So in accordance with the report that this verse was revealed on the issue of spouse selection, we can say very clear cut that, you know, racial differences, community differences shouldn't be a reason to exclude, okay, choice of spouse selection. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Is that clear? Or any comments or follow-ups?
Thank you. That was a brilliant answer. Thank you. And I hope many of them hear and get to them that this is the way. You do not have to just seclude everything, but rather try to include.
No, actually, look, we said the beauty of Allah's creation is in difference and diversity. Right? The beautiful opportunity we have for learning is we only learn when we come across something different. Okay? Otherwise, how will we learn in any sense, way, shape, or form?
Yeah, we would all be the same, and then there would be.
Would that be boring? You know?
Yeah.
Just imagine.
It'd be boring, wouldn't it? Yeah.
My mind. You know? Yeah, the visuals won't be so good. All right. For example, I mean, it's a petty example, but really the beauty of the world out there is in difference and diversity. Yeah, and actually it's difficult, you know, whether we're talking Shia Sunni, whether we're talking Muslim, non-Muslim, we're just talking about differences in personality in my own house. All right, getting past differences is difficult, but in those overcoming those difficulties is the growth and the movement towards God.
Exactly, and I think when you overcome each other's differences, whether it's with friends or family, with people in your own household, it brings you closer together anyway.
There you go.
You know, between each other, and you know that brings you closer to God.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely.
Excellent.
It's exactly like being in a classroom with 23 children, all from different backgrounds. Parents are from different backgrounds. Everything is a mix, and all the children have different personalities. Yeah. And the teacher has to maintain an equal balance between all the children.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the classroom.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the beauty of the classroom.
You bring it in with everyone else.
It's also now it's more evident than ever as well, as you're talking about married couples. You know, with this lockdown at the moment, everybody had their 9-to-5 job essentially. Now everybody's cooped up in the houses. Now you'll start probably noticing them things that you never used to notice, and things may, you know, them differences will be more prominent than ever. You know, because you're always stuck together in the same house.
No, so I'm going to use the language of stuck.
My bad.
Opportunities come to the fore, Hassan. Like seriously, and it's a really important shift of perspective. Okay, I know you're saying it as a joke, you know, lightening the mood, right? But you know, it's my job to use these opportunities. Right? Yeah. So these opportunities come to the fore. Yeah, well, we can really develop ourselves. Yeah, and that's the beautiful way that God's created us, actually. Yeah, is it real? And then just imagine, you know, if I can become more patient, more caring, more giving, all right, less frustrated, and if I can then take that relationship out with my neighbor and with my colleague and it starts making the world, you know, morally better as well.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
We see that actually the aesthetic beauty of the world is in diversity. Actually, when we see difference, coming together, all right, that's when it looks beautiful, right? Okay, morally, all right, the beauty of insan is actually once they can start, you know, coming together despite differences as well.
Definitely.
Nice one. I think Ali Asghar just sent a message for you to read out. It comes to both of on, so if you want to go ahead.
Yeah. So he was just saying he was listening, and he's put a quote on there that I think what you was talking about. The best thing one should do when there is a discussion about diversification is to diversify their point of view by listening to others.
So there we go. We'll put him on the list for the chocolate bar. I think he was just like really keen for that, so put him in.
Excellent.
We're still waiting for Brother Tosif to message us in. So he said he was listening. We're waiting for his question to come through, and Brother Muhammad Karmali.
Everyone else as well. Everyone that's listening, please do get involved. Give us a shout.
Nice that we've got a listener and a contributor from Dubai. MashaAllah.
She's one of the hosts, Ali.
Yeah, that's what I mean. One of the contributors, one of the hosts is brilliant.
Nice of you to join us.
She's been with us, I think, for the last for all the shows, I think, isn't it?
MashaAllah.
Contributing.
I'm showing myself up there. I haven't been following all the shows. I'm sorry.
You can catch up now, inshallah, after next week.
Inshallah.
That's it. So yeah, we have like around about just under 10 minutes left for our show. So if there's anything anyone else would like to add, bring in some more questions in there, then please do go ahead. We don't have much time left. So Ali, you've been very quiet throughout the show. Anything you want to put in there?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. One thing I've got is something that I think could help the community going forward. So Ali Reza, you've sort of shed light on a couple of the issues and how we could deal with them. But going forward, from a community perspective of mixing with the Sunnis and other Shia groups, what do you think we can do as a community?
Yeah, so I think it's a very, very important question. Yeah, and so I think as a community, it works at levels, right? So sometimes when we think as a community, when we start thinking as a community, it's like easy to point at Mr. President, okay, at the Behlool Society, and at the people who apparently hold responsibility. But I think as a community, we're a community of individuals, right? So at the very base level, our own interactions, developing our own ethic, I think is really fundamental. Okay? So that's the starting point. Yeah, I need to start with me. Okay, I need to start with me. I need to start with my neighbors. I need to start with my interactions. Yeah, but it goes all the way through. Yeah, so I think we should have, we need to encourage more visible, interactions among scholars. Okay, and we need to encourage more joint actions. And I think Behlool Society has done this type of stuff before. So when it comes to stuff that you're, to working towards common good. So, this language is common good. You can find a common project and do the stuff together. Yeah, invite them, whether it's a sports project or whether it's the brilliant initiative now of feeding the, contributing to the food banks. Pair up with a willing community. Okay, yeah, and start working with each other, being with each other. Look, we all have Sunni friends, okay, and Sunni colleagues. All right, okay, it's a shame on us if our language with regards, our brothers, or as Sayyid Sistani said that we should refer to them as ourselves, is different when we're with them, and it's different with them when we're in our own Imam Bara. It really is shame on us, and so we should look very, very closely. If we hear, and thinking bottom up, if we hear things in our own communities which are inappropriate, we should call them out. We should flag them up. Yeah, we shouldn't just be flagging up Shia phobia. Yeah, we should be flagging up discrimination against Sunnis as well, frankly speaking. Yeah. So I think more joint activities, whether they're scholarly or in terms of doing good, playing football together, working together, going to the food banks together. Right now, there's lots of people in need out there in the streets in Leicester. Homeless people aren't getting the same amount of change they were getting 8 weeks ago. We've got homes to be locked down in. Right? Yeah. Okay. So alhamdulillah. All right. And this is global. I know we've got Dubai there as well. Yeah. So they may not have homelessness to the same extent, but there's of course, an underclass there. Yeah. So people aren't getting the same access. Yeah. And to support and help. And actually, discrimination often comes from issues of inequality. Right. So there's often social reasons behind it, economic reasons behind it. These things go beyond theology. Yeah, and actually, look, if we're the ones who are holding to Imam Ali, he was the one always supporting the vulnerable. So we could do common projects together. Yeah,
Definitely.
Just help one person or do something like, you know, within your means to help somebody else.
absolutely, absolutely.
Even if you're not, you know, if you can't do it as a massive group or anything, but between yourselves, just as an individual, go and help somebody out.
There you go.
Then blessings in disguise, right?
Absolutely, it's a blessing for you. It's a blessing for me. You know, it's a blessing for me. There's a hadith attributed to Imam Hussein. It says, "Don't see the needs of other people as a burden upon you. The needs of other people are blessings for you."
Yes.
Yes.
You know. Yeah, but we need to just broaden our vision of who are our people.
Yeah. And we need to start with ourselves, not discriminate against somebody. Oh, this guy has got a lower status than me or a higher status than me. These kind of things. You know, once we can understand that ourselves, then we can truly make a change in, you know, the whole diversity issue.
Definitely.
And
I think that's a really important one, Mazahir, because often we think about race and we think about religion when we're talking about discrimination. But often people suggest that the most restrictive discrimination that there is actually class difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and the ones which are hardest to break through glass ceilings when they talk about them, you know, in wider society, is actually class differences.
Yes.
But this, again, it works. So you said it beautifully. It works both ways. Yeah, so it's like Imam Hassan is like famous for sitting on the streets and eating with the guys on the street. Yeah, and he had a lot of money at his time, Imam Hassan. Salamullahi alayhi. All right. Okay, and vice versa, he could also sit with the leaders of his time. All right. So I think the class is probably the hardest one to deal with, and all we talk about least actually. And so it's thinking about more.
Yeah, we've actually got a question here. We have a brother from India who's listening, or a sister from India who's listening. They haven't put their name, but they've said the question: what's the best way to live in India with discrimination against Muslims?
Yeah, so it's a very, very important question and a difficult one for me to answer because I don't live in India, so I don't know the local conditions well enough. Of course, I know that there's a lot of discrimination against, or structural discrimination against Muslims right now in India. But I think the only thing I can say from afar, and so these are just tentative comments, like I said, I'm not in India, so I don't know the reality of the bitter experiences, yeah? Okay, and the reality of the differences, but we have to look at the ethic of Ahlul Bayt, salamullahi alayhim ajma'in. Yeah, and actually the ethic of the Quran. Okay, so this was a verse of the Quran which I mentioned in some of my talks during this Ramadan, so I'll mention it again. So for those who heard it first time, hopefully it's revision. For those who didn't, you know, here's something for us, all right? So the verse number 7 of Surah Al-Ma'idah, it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who believe, kunu qawwamina lillah, shuhada'a bil qist. It says, O those who believe, okay, stand upright for God, be models of justice. وَلَا يَجْرَمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنَ قَوْمٍ أَلَىٰ أَنْ لَا تَعْدِلُوا. And don't let the hatred of another people turn you away from justice. Right? So as people who are discriminated against, you know, I think the best thing we can do, okay, is to make sure that our actions are still just.
Sure.
That we're still models, we're still upright for the sake of God.
You don't stoop to their level, essentially.
We never stoop to their level, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay? Or as the Quran says, idfa billati hiya ahsan. The Quran says, always push back, yeah, with that which is more beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, now these are hard standards to aim for.
Definitely. It's not something that's easy, is it? When somebody's poking you essentially and making fun of you, it's very hard to keep quiet or, you know, come back with a good
It's not
good answer.
what Prophet did, yeah? We've all heard that story.
100%.
Prophet being thrown stones and garbage.
The other lady used to throw rubbish from the window.
The day she wasn't there, what did he do? He went to look for her.
He went to visit her. Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? He went
Imagine. How many of us in that position would do that? Like, it's well and good saying the story, isn't it? But like, how many of us really?
It's really hard. So look, the verse that I mentioned says that, okay, it's actually starting with first we try to be just. Okay, as much as we can, we try and respond with goodness.
Definitely.
Look, there's certain red lines. That doesn't mean that we don't do our legal rights of stand. You know, we do need to raise awareness of discrimination. We always need to be on the side of the oppressed. You know, Imam Ali is reported to have said, "Kunu lil madhlumi awnan," be a support for the one who's oppressed. Okay, and speak out against the oppressor.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
this stuff we need to do. You flag up where there's things of discrimination, and I think I'm guilty of not doing this type of stuff enough. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we speak out against oppression. We speak for the oppressed. But from a personal point of view, what do I know? I need to improve most and foremost, even when I'm being discriminated against, to make sure I'm just, to push back with justice. That verse continues, says, "Idfa billati hiya ahsan." Push back with that which is beautiful, and it will be as though he has become a beautiful friend. Yeah?
Yeah.
This is the essence of the Quran.
Just a general question for me as well. Like, so, you know, when you're saying when you push back with goodness, how would you respond, or how would you want somebody to respond to saying, if somebody comes up to say, "Oh, you Shias, you know, you guys are kafirs, you're not Muslims, this and that," you know, how, when you're saying push back with goodness, how would you expect somebody to respond, or how would you respond in that situation?
You know, often. So personally, the relationships with Ahl Sunnah, okay, actually is to diffuse the situation. In those situations is to diffuse the situation and then build a relationship with the person.
Yeah.
So to diffuse the situation and leave the conversation open.
Okay.
Because you got to remember that it's quite possible that person, that's all he's heard his whole life. He's sincere.
Yeah.
He believes it, or she believes it. Right? So in that moment, you're not going to change their view, actually. Right? In that moment. Okay, so my personal practice in those sorts of occasions to try and diffuse the situation and maintain the opening for a relationship. You know, the most productive relationships I have with people who are, I have deep intellectual differences with, even spiritual differences with, is once you establish relationships with them. Okay, and that you're open. Okay,
Yeah.
genuinely to learn and genuinely to share. Actually, it's about establishing those relationships. So again, it comes to an ethical issue, actually. First and foremost is to establish the ethics.
Sure.
Yeah. So that would be my response. I know it might not be the most exciting response. Is there an answer which I can just give? I'll say one word and they'll break.
No.
It's not the reality of how the world works or how people's minds work.
When you're saying diffuse the situation, what do you actually mean by that, though?
So it may be allowing them to understand. Okay. Maybe allowing them to understand difference, explaining them to them, justifying to them. Okay. Slow down, sit down, speak with them, slow the tone of the conversation.
Sure.
Okay. Have a follow-up conversation, explain your position. All right. Yeah. Or just acknowledge the difference. Okay. You may think I'm a kafir. Okay. But I believe I'm a follower of Muhammad. Okay. I believe I'm a follower of God. I'm using the Imams as my way to the teachings of the Prophet. This is based on my understanding of fiqh, or whatever those particular differences may be. Yeah? But actually, what it takes to diffuse a situation is always different in a situation. So it's like, I don't know how much time we have left, but 2 minutes. So I remember an occasion where I was invited to speak at a National Ahlul Bayt Society conference. And we ended up praying in a room, and unknowingly, I thought I was leading a prayer with just one other person. Suddenly there was a whole, about 40, 50 people praying behind, right? And there was a security guard. The security guard had never seen Shias before. Okay, and because it wasn't a very organized, it was an impromptu Salat al-Jama'ah. So it wasn't very organized. Some people had tissues, some people had turbas. There was all sorts of stuff going on, kind of thing, yeah? And he was in shock and awe, right? And he started firing at us. What are you doing?
Oh, really?
At me. He says, you're responsible for everybody. You're leading them. Okay, so you're responsible for all of them. Deviant. You know what I did? I sat down and I sat near him. He raised his voice. I sat on the floor, okay, and sat with him. Okay, and then he sat down and the temperature just dropped.
Sure.
All right, so that was the first step to diffuse the situation. Okay.
Not to retaliate with aggression, essentially.
And others were moving backwards. Others were moving backwards because it was becoming confrontational.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sat down, so it cooled the temperature, and then moved towards him.
Yeah.
And listened to him first.
Yeah.
Took it on the chin. Okay. Right? And then tried to open a conversation. Yeah, this is often what we have to do. Often, actually, these confrontations are a chance for me to check my own humility. And like we said at the beginning, to improve our relationships across differences and diversity, yeah, actually, first and foremost, about our own humility.
Definitely.
Okay, just a quick one. I had a message which I'll just mention out. It's come all the way from East Africa, saying people that discriminate also look at people in the form of their abilities, their body size, or their talents as well. So they judge them by, oh, you know what? Like, for example, I'm a doctor. You're like a warehouse worker or something. That's also another form of discrimination.
Yeah, a massive problem. Like I said, class difference is the biggest one. You know that, honestly speaking. We're very lucky in this country. You don't see it as much, but even in this country, it's the biggest obstacle to progress, right? But in places like Africa, Pakistan, India, yeah, we don't recognize how privileged we are in a society like UK, where you can walk on a bus, whether you're a doctor or somebody who cleans and picks up bins.
Yeah,
you can have a bit of courtesy with each other. So I think that's a privilege of this country, but that ethic we need to develop. And I absolutely agree with the caller from Africa that class difference really, really is an absolute crime. And these distinctions and discriminations, again, often we use them as the excuses. And so these are things which we have to work on ourselves and have to work collectively. Both as individuals. Earlier Jawad was asking for concrete examples. I think we need to work as individuals, okay, as youths, as leaders, as ulama, okay, consistently and and with great vigor, hopefully with the whole energy of the month of Shahr Ramadan. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
We've come to the end of our finale. The time has gone so quickly.
Time has flown by.
Inshallah, maybe we can do a follow-up at some point, Sheikh.
It would be my pleasure. Yeah.
Inshallah.
So we are running late because we're behind schedule for the rest of the program for the masjid. So inshallah, wish everyone well. Thank you for everyone that did get involved, and everyone didn't. You missed out on that Amazon voucher and the chocolates. But inshallah, see you again soon. We'll follow on. If you want to ask any more questions to Sheikh, please forward it onto the number, and we'll get them text back to you.
Yeah, definitely. And from us, Eid Mubarak to all, and Sheikh, Eid Mubarak to you as well.
Eid Mubarak to you guys, and keep it up, lads. Yeah. All right. Lockdown radio sounds like a great idea to me.
I think it's a good thing to carry on, inshallah. Maybe if we get a bit more support, we'll be able to do it.
Nice. And we'll do lockdown radio next, inshallah.
Yeah, lockdown radio. Watch this space.
Lockdown.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you.
Yes.